Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Reginal Drummer, the peopleologist, and welcome to another episode of We Are Ready. We are ready, where we focus on those things that are pertinent to you, your family, and your community. Whether that be natural, pandemic, or pandemoniums, or whatever. Our saying over here is, if you're ready, you don't have to get ready. So tonight we got a very, very powerful topic. It's going to be focused on homelessness. Homelessness. And if you looked around any city that you're in, I know we got people from all over, but especially here in Atlanta, the homeless population, and there's different names that we associate with people that are without shelter, without food, without clothing, without resources, without a job. Anybody can find themselves in that position. But I want to say this to everybody. I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our Square Mile Media Atlanta platform over here on YouTube. And make sure you hit the notification button so you can get the notification. We're also simulcasting here for a minute over on Facebook. So everybody that's over on Facebook, I want you to come over here to Square Mile Media platform. You can find that either on the We Are Ready page or over on our my personal page, Reginal Drummer. But I wanted to share this with everybody because tonight we've got some special guests. And when you look at what we say a homeless situation, you could be on Facebook today. You could have a great job today. You could be with a great family today. And tomorrow, that can change. Tomorrow, that can change. There's many circumstances that put people in a direction where they no longer they can sustain themselves or be independent. So tonight, we're going to be looking at, especially here in Atlanta, two gentlemen that have really focused their efforts on sharing with people in the community. And I'm looking up their bios now because I they do so much. I say anytime you get men, especially black men, that give back to the community, we got to talk about them. We got to share what they're doing. And I know we always prepared for disasters. We always prepared ourselves for different things. But one of the key things is what's going on right now here in Atlanta. But one of the first gentlemen, I'm gonna give you a bio on both gentlemen. Michael Edwards. Michael Edwards on February 20th, 2020, uh, he formed Community Souls, started to serve meals to the homeless and the hungry. Community Souls was open during a time when Corona and the recession gripped the world, which caused a spike in unemployment. He saw the impact of this recession in the South Side downtown area and those who lived there and responded to start Community Souls. The first simple meals of soup, chips, and drinks were served to over 140 people. By the end of the year, Community Souls were open 3 days a week. These were humble beginnings of a program that exists today. The mission was simple: to provide a warm and nutritious meal to anyone who is hungry or in a situation or condition. And then we also have Mr. Uh, Darwin Yoel Burks. He's a resident of South Metro Atlanta, business owner, 20 plus years, the husband to Miss Chantel Burks, a father of two children. Uh, Yoel earned a BS degree in network communications, a whole lot of accolades here. He started Yoel Kingdom Outreach, an organization he founded. It served the homeless population of Atlanta since 2016, both independently and alongside other community solutions. In 2020, Abaya directed his outreach operation to include low income communities. The new operation is apparently appropriately named Yoel Helps, and offering activities-based engagement to include sports and trade training, program business and personal development courses, cleanup, youth field trip, elderly care, and more. Uh, and that's just a short bio, brother Yoel. You got a whole lot of accolades there, brother. I gave the short version, but welcome, gentlemen. How you all doing tonight?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Oh, doing great, doing great. You know, um, before uh, I'll bring each of you guys in, and you can tell us or just share with us. I know we shared a little of your accolades, but one of the big questions is what moved or motivated you to engage with what we call the homeless community here in Atlanta. And either you brothers could, brother Mike, what kind of motivated you to engage with the homeless population here in Atlanta?
Yes, my name is Mr. Mike. And what got me started was something very simple. You know, sometimes we say, God, if you give me this, I'm gonna do this. If you give me this, I'm gonna do this. But then God said, well, I gave you this last month. What have you done with it? In the beginning, it was basically, God, if you give me at least $24,000 extra, I'm gonna do this. And he said, I gave you $500 last month. What have you done with it? Very simple. And but basically, I have actually been cooking for the community with my church every other Sunday. And when the COVID actually started, there was no church service, and there were kids in the area that were hungry. So I would go down to the church and I cook for them and give them fresh meals. But then it got worse, so the church actually shut down. That's when I took it downtown. Sometimes when we speak with God, or sometimes when he talks to us, we don't listen, and sometimes we think it's just a message. But I actually listened when He said, "Do it on February 15th." That's the day I started 2020. It went from Wednesday to Sunday. But the thing was, then it's like with the COVID, it's like who is going to feed the homeless now? Because now everybody's scared of the COVID. But that was my motivation to go and feed them. I mean, I've never been
Uh,
homeless. Thank God, it's been a blessing. But that was the motivation, um, because now who's going to feed them? Because everyone is scared. 6 feet mask, and that was my mission to start that at that moment. And ever since then, I can't stop. Now it's Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday.
wow. Well,
And I
congratulations
cook.
on your efforts. Definitely.
Thanks, man.
Brother
I try.
Yoel, what moved and motivated you to get into this line of work, this line of service?
Um, it might have been a combination of two things. Certainly, without question, the prompting of the Ruach, or the Spirit of the Most High, and um, and then a desire to see um, your people provided for. Maybe that was more of a growing desire, being led by the Most High. But I was driving around downtown. I happened to see this park, and Hurt Park, of course. And for this particular afternoon that I drove by, I just seen a whole population of homeless brethren out on the green space, walking aimlessly, sitting on the park benches, sitting around the waterfall area up on the hills. We call it hill area. You know what that is. And I was instructed by the Most High um,
Yep.
to go and provide some kind of um, relief or comfort, and to really connect with my people on a different level. And one of the charges that the Most High laid upon my heart is to show people the element of worship. Worship is an action. I mean, obviously, if you're laying prostrate before the Most High, that's the true definition. But you can also show um, a level of Thanksgiving and in your application, in your work, in your connection. And so to make a long story short, I remember taking a cooler. Uh, one cooler had some ice water. The other cooler just had some beans and rice, and then it had a portable speaker system. So that was really the initial connection, and then it grew. So now when I go out, I take my one of the things I do. I'm a DJ. We'll talk something about that because I think it has some intimate connection with what I do. But I take my small DJ set, and so one of the instruments of giving is playing kingdom music, music that's going to inspire and encourage the hearts of the Most High's people. And separately from that, we take food, hygiene kits, blankets, other resources that we can. And since then, it's grown with support from people that are now part of the Yellow Helps organization. So that's kind of the short. There's a lot more detail that I know I'm leaving out. Well, that's kind of the short delivery, at least for the answer of your question there.
And both of you brothers are doing tremendous efforts. I know a lot of times I've been in Atlanta since '84. I think I shared this morning my first experience with what we call homeless people. Coming from a small town, Albany, Georgia, we didn't see a lot of homeless people. Okay, when I was growing up, I didn't get in touch or encounter homeless people until I was in California, and I actually had the opportunity to have to spend a night in the streets. Now, I don't know if anybody ever spent a night in the streets. You see a different population of people come out. They're not your business owners. Well, they might be your business owners coming out for other reasons, but typically they're not your business owners. They're not your regular 9 to 5ers. Back in that time period, when I was 19 years old, back in 1980, people that hung out after the wee hours of the morning had other things. Uh, my experience with the homeless put me in a position where I saw where they would hang out. We would the YMCA back then. The membership was like $2 a month. So a lot of homeless people actually used the YMCA to take showers. Now fast forward 40, 50 years later, you got gyms and memberships like that, so it makes it difficult. But that was a different population. Plus, that was a warm environment. Fast forward, when I got to Atlanta, one of the first introductions I had with the homeless population, we actually had an opportunity to spend one night out on the streets with the homeless, and this was early 2000. And during that time period, we brought blankets and sleeping bags and things like that. But one of the guys revealed to me, he said, those items will probably last about a day before they either get wet, stolen, or something like that. So when you engage or you're part of the population of people that people see on the streets, I know sometimes people say, why don't they get a job? Why don't they go somewhere? But somebody has to have a degree of compassion, and especially if you've been a part of, if you ever been homeless, you kind of have a deeper compassion because you know what it feels like trying to sleep between 2 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the morning. And then you got to get up and walk around the street and kind of fend for yourself, find a meal, get yourself together, shower, shave, if you're good enough to do that. Back in the day, they had a couple of places like a Pine Street. I don't know if any of you brothers are familiar with Pine Street. Pine Street was a place in Atlanta that you could go, you could stay, I think, maybe a couple of dollars, and you had to leave out about 5 o'clock. You had to check back in about 8 or 9 o'clock. Some people were able to do that, but some people had other problems, whether you're drug problems, medical issues, and things like that. It made it very difficult to be in a centralized location. And Atlanta is somewhat not nice to the homeless population. When they closed those facilities down, and then Atlanta is being bombarded by outlining areas where they dump their prison population, the homeless population, the mental population on the streets of Atlanta. But we see a part of the problem here in Atlanta when you walk downtown, and it used to be when you walk down at if you got to the airport, you would see many homeless people down at the airport. But they kind of chased them out of the airport, and like Hurt Park, they kind of moved them out of the Hurt Park. You know, one of the first time I saw you, brother Yoel, I thought they was having a concert down there. Until I saw the brothers and sisters, just camped out and just where they were. But Atlanta has kind of moved them around. But how do you guys interact with the brothers and sisters? Because you got brothers and sisters from so many different backgrounds, so many different situations, and I know you're sharing food and you're giving hope and you're doing ministry. But can you share some of the stories, some of the touching stories that you've had that humanizes this whole thing? Because when people say homelessness, they kind of distance themselves. But when you get down there and put boots on the ground, you make a connection with the people. Those are our brothers and sisters. So what are some of the stories that you see when you're out there on the street? And either of you brothers can get in there, brother Yoel. I know you down. You just down there, wasn't you today?
Oh yeah. Mr. Michael, did you want to address or share some commentary on that first?
Yeah, actually, I was just down there today. I was down on Peachtree and Edgewood by the waterfall. Yeah, I was down there. I go there every Sunday and Wednesday. I cook enough to feed about 150 to 180 people every time. And I've seen, like I said, I've been doing this now going on 3 years, and I've seen people coming off someone's car, pick up a box, and that's their bed. I've seen kids, guys, mothers with 4 or 5 kids on the streets. I've seen a lot. Like I've seen, I can't even say what I've seen. It's been so much. Everything I've seen, that's what gives me energy to drive, to come back and feed them. Because I know that they need it. And I don't just give them just regular food. I cook things from like pasta, spaghetti, African food. I cook fried chicken. I use like ingredients like onions, mushroom, green pepper, garlic, things that will help the system grow up and just make them feel better. Not just give them sandwiches. It's easier, but you have to give something that will help them build up their immune system, and that's what I do. I go there, like I said, on Sunday around 12 o'clock. I leave around 4 p.m. Wednesday, 1 o'clock, I leave around 5 p.m. And on Friday, I go to a shelter in Stone Mountain, and I give them food as well. Like he said, he's a DJ. I'm also a DJ. I've been doing it since 96. But on the regular days, I do like graphic design, print T-shirts. That's how I make money. But the homeless for me is something I do from the heart. But I've seen families, husbands, grandparents, grandpa, grandkids, great kids on the streets with no place, with basically no place to go. So it's those things that I know that they need that gives me the drive to come back. Give them something to look forward to. Mike will be here Sunday. So let's save $5, eat on Saturday. Mike will be here and feed us, and we're good to go. Just because, like in a church, the pastor comes every Sunday, and you have faith he's going to be there on Sunday. But right. Who gives them faith that they will be there for them on a certain day of the week? No one does, except people that they know can give them something to eat. So I think I've given them some faith to know that I will be here Sunday and Wednesday. So whatever you have to work with, I'll be here no matter what. And I've been doing that now since, like I said, 2020. So but I've seen a lot of people that have gone from being this level down to this level on the street. But it just motivates me more for them to believe in me and have trust that when I'm there, I have something good to eat. So like I said, and I cook everything right here in the kitchen.
Wow.
Everything right here. I cook enough to feed like a whole cooler, like a real big cooler, and I pack it up and I go down there. But at first, I used to pack everything right here on the table with plates, and I list about 180 plates every time, 150 minimum. You know, but what's actually saddening me is that when I'm done, about to leave, and someone runs down the street and asks for food, and
Wow.
I'm out, They say I've not eaten for 2 days or 3 days. Makes me go back to some like you said, like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's and give them then I leave. But at least we all as a group must come together. If like he said, if he does what he does, then let me do the food. Let somebody else do the clothes. Let somebody do something so we can all make it a community effort.
Right.
That's what it's all about. So, but I just tried to give them something to basically to look forward to. That no matter what, if I eat on Thursday or Friday, if I eat Saturday, I know Mike will be here on Wednesday. Or Mike will be here on Sunday.
Right.
That's it. You know.
And
So
that compassion is so necessary. I see in the chat there's a lot of people sending some comments. Brother Beach, Sister Lucy, Latish, you can make TV. When you can show some compassion. One of the things I did learn from Hosea Feed the Homeless was you can't just act like you feeding people. Even though you got food, you have to have a human approach because there's
that's it.
dignity in everything. Uh,
That's it. Yes.
it takes a certain person because you know to share food with each other. I won't let you share, brother Yoel, and then I'm gonna share you guys a story about one of my experiences, brother Yoel.
Oh yeah. You know, um, homelessness. It has a face. It has a personality. It has attributes. They're people, and it's easy to disassociate with people if their needs are different from yours. I've seen, as Brother Mike shared, I've seen entire families displaced, and out there with hands out, and that's a very, very painful thing to witness. Um, when you sit and you speak with someone and you hear their stories, um, it provides a human, tangible experience. Now you're talking with someone that's your brother, that's your uncle, that's your cousin, that's your nephew, that's your grandfather, that was a pastor, someone that was very active in the academia of education or the profession of corporate America, and then here they are in a very uncomfortable situation, and they're just sharing. I remember sitting on I think it might have been near the water fountain there at what do you call it? The water display thing there, Hurt Park, and the gentleman was sitting next to me, and we were just kind of having a small talk. And he looked over at me and he said, "Man, you really see us. You really see us. You don't treat us like we're just dogs, or we have no care or concern." And he's like, you have some people that would make a big old pot of rice, throw it in the pan, and drop it off on the street. Like we some dog. We're not a dog.
Right.
Right.
And he said, you see it, you wouldn't believe that I used to be a college recruiter. I would go to universities during orientation time to encourage students, would-be students, to sign up at certain universities. And he went on to say that he used to do recruiting and professional motivational speaking at Morehouse and Spelman and Clark Atlantic and a few other places. And he said, I got into a situation and I made a mistake and I just couldn't get out of it and I spiraled down. And here I am, the next college, recruiter, sitting here talking to you. Talked to persons that were pastors for whatever reason. They got pushed out of the church, or they made a mistake, or they had something they couldn't resolve. I spoke with business executives that were into heavy financials and through some mistake, they lost everything, lost their house, lost their lease, just lost everything. You interact with people that came to Atlanta to do some temporary work, and the contract ended early. And succinctly, they would have vehicle issues, and so now they're not employable or they're not employed, and they're having vehicle issues, and now they're sleeping in a car that they're hopefully looking to get some other job resources to fix the vehicle so they could be somewhat employable again. And so you have these stories, and they're so normal, they're so natural, they're so part of what we call life. And and we're not all, had not been for the grace of the Most High and resources and provisions, all it takes is one of the circumstances, and we would be out there kind of at the mercy of people giving and providing resources to us. I've had many stories. One location I went to, Joseph E. Laurie and Joseph E. Boone, that intersection, very, very unique intersection. For those that know Atlanta, you just don't show up to say hi. You actually show up on that corner looking to buy or sell, or looking to engage in some very unbiblical activities. And so I've been there, just sharing ministry and music. And I was there. The Father spoke to my heart to go set up music there one evening, late evening. And so I packed my stuff, went there. And I remember a lady, many people, but a lady was walking back and forth in front of the DJ set, kind of restless. And she walked over toward me. And she had money. She was holding her money like in a very interesting way, like this. And she pointed to it with one hand. And she said, this money is to buy some crack. She said, but before I go buy it, can I just go sit over here next to this light pole and just worship while I'm listening to this music? I can't leave. The music is holding me captive. I said, yes, baby, that's fine. So she walked over and sit against this light post. And she had the money in her one hand and the other hand lifted open like this, and she's praising and worshiping the Most High with her mouth. And she must have been over about 20 minutes or so. And then she walked back over to in front of my DJ set. It was late, as dark as it was. And she said, thank you. Thank you. I don't mean no disrespect, but I'm going to go buy my cocaine, my fix. But I just want to thank you for allowing me to spend time worshiping the Most High. And then she walked off into the night. And so there's times I've been ministering and preaching under the Grady Bridge. They've since kind of pushed people away. You've probably seen it, Reginald, where they got these barricades up on a very large sidewalk. So you really can't rest there if you're homeless, because they're pretty active. Now, when I say they, I'm talking about the authorities. They're pretty active in making sure that it will become another property space. Right. But you see people, defecate or urinate on the sidewalk. You would see occasional spats and fights. But, so I was there one evening preaching, and just about 10 feet away from me was one of those drug deal, handoffs. Left hand grabs the package, right hand extends 20, and you kind of got this mutual exchange going on of product and money. And then, the buyer and seller walk in opposite directions. Mm-hmm. And so I'm experiencing this. And my heart was gripped with fear. And as I'm still there preaching, I was kind of bothered by that. And about a few minutes later, my heart was consumed with compassion because you have people that are caught in cycles. You know, you have dealers that are caught in the same cycle as the addicts. And it's probably hard to really understand or to have compassion for a dealer because some of these dealers are young and they're just trying to provide, they're trying to get quick money so they can provide
Right.
for their aging mother or their young brother or trying to get school supplies or trying to get food in the home. Many people may find it difficult that even women that prostitute, a lot of them are really just trying to make money so they could eat. Not a
Right.
lot of people that are prostitutes are on drugs. And, I got stats. I'm always working with stats and numbers because they speak a different metric to the people we would call or disassociated for homelessness. And you have a lot of people that are dealing with trauma.
Right.
Uh, you know, someone
And,
that's lost a life or a child to fire
yeah.
in their
And
mind, they
if I
can't.
could
Was that?
interject this, brother Joel, I know when people pass the population of people that are on the streets, whether it's on the trains, like I said, if you ever ride the MARTR, you can kind of tell when the trains move. A lot of homeless people got on the trains. They ride that train back and forth, back and forth.
Sure.
At the airport used to be a holding area,
Yeah.
and you'll see people more so now, especially with the economy now. Uh, there are different layers of what we call homeless type people.
That's
There are
right.
people that are not on drugs, because I know sometimes people say they're all on drugs. They're all mental. I know in the city of Atlanta, a lot of counties drop their homeless and their mental people, patients in and around downtown Atlanta.
Sure.
Okay. A lot of those outside counties don't have the resources to take care of their homeless or their mental population. So they bring them to the city, a one-way trip, and drop them in Atlanta. So that boosts the numbers here in Atlanta. You got a lot of people in Atlanta. You can ride around from uh, any part of Peachtree downtown, uh, from Baker Street, that whole little corridor. And even though at Hurry Park they're trying to push them away from Georgia State, you know, uh, Atlanta's got a pattern of pushing people into a box. I remember when Mayor Reed made it illegal to do what he called feed the homeless. And we were over at Harper Park. Harper Park is a smaller park, and in that park, I think we had maybe 150, 200 people on any given Sunday. A couple of brothers came out, shares we call it sharing food. I remember getting a citation from the city of Atlanta, and the only way I could fight the citation, we said we was out there barbecuing uh, with fellow citizens. But one of the things I found when you share food with people in conversation, they had job fairs. They were testing people for different things. Anytime we could do a health fair, but people like to be engaged. When you can get people back into the mindset of helping themselves, I'll share this quick story with you guys. We were at Harper Park and we ran out of food. And the brother, he said, "Man, we don't got them ran out of food." He said, "What? Because this is before they started making it where, uh, it, you know, uh, a lot of people was out there sharing food, but this when they were making it illegal under Kasheen Reed, the mayor. Well, we took up a collection amongst the homeless people. The brothers and sisters were taking their EBT cards, and I took one brother, and he went up to Walmart and bought meat and hamburger buns. Now, this is money that they would normally use, whether it be for drugs or alcohol or whatever. And we deputized the brothers and sisters to cook food. Now this long before COVID, where we had the gloves out there and all that type of stuff. But I'm gonna tell you something: when people get engaged and not just getting and receiving, but helping others, it helps
Mhm.
them uh, uh, feel more of a human being. Because most people don't want you to give them something all the time. You know what I'm saying? Most people want to carry their weight. Uh, they want to be productive. And I know sometimes getting back into the workplace, uh, like you guys mentioned earlier, there's some people that just was one paycheck away and they ended up just staying on the street. You know, Brother Meach had put out that some of the shelters, when Atlanta had those shelters on Pine, and they had a couple other shelters, Salvation Army down on Metropolitan, Victory down on Metropolitan, where they had uh, those places available, and some places are still available. People had some place to go, but at the same time, you had to deal with another element of people, and those people would be violent. You know, now some people are homeless by choice. Some people say, you know what, I'm just gonna save some money. I'm gonna get on these streets for a minute and just chill out. Uh, and But it could be a dangerous situation because you got all types of elements of people right there in the community. You got some of the most talented people in the world right here in Atlanta, part of the homeless community. Now, when those resources are tapped and people, you know, I met people that could sing, I met engineers, I've had people that had breakdowns, nervous breakdowns, you know, Alzheimer people, young people that didn't know who they were or where they were, just walking around. But the ministries that you guys are putting out there, you give a lot of people hope. And a lot of people in the community are just looking at, I know you put out some days that you're out there, Brother Yoel and Brother Mike, but how can people get involved and what are some of your most pressing needs? Because I know sometimes you guys got to come out your pockets. You got to do physical work. But what are some of the things that you would need from the people in the community? We got a lot of people in the chat for them to, that they could help. Because, you know, people past people say, I want to do something. I want to help my brothers and sisters. But what are some of the things they can do?
Um, some of the things it can do. I know everyone acts. Most of the things that the folks actually need downtown is clothes.
Hmm.
They need clothes. They need
Like
shoes.
this, underwear,
They
socks.
need shoes. They need socks.
Yeah.
They need now is getting cold, getting cold. So they need jackets, blankets. I mean, they need those basic needs like underwear. I met a gentleman last week. I've been feeding him now for over 6 months. That homeless, and we actually became friends. And he
Hmm.
got blessed. He got blessed with a job over there on Bankhead, and I think by across from Church's Chicken, some soulful restaurant. But
Ah.
but he couldn't work with no slippery shoes. He couldn't walk with no pants, no shirt. But he had the skills and got a job. So I thought it was fine. So I went to Walmart. I bought him some shoes. I gave him some of my pants and shirts. So that was last week. So he went to work on Tuesday, and I showed up, and he was there working. I was like, "Wow, you over real?" He said, "Mike, I swear to you, not. I really need it." But some of them, they will say and not do what they say. But he actually did it, and I got a job, and he's working there. You know, but I need like we need some clothes, some shoes. I mean, as far as for me, the food. I mean, I buy everything myself. I don't have no grant. I don't know how to get a grant. I don't know how to find people to support work, but I do everything myself. I have some of my customers in business. They'll see what I do. and they will actually make a donation towards something, but mostly it comes towards me.
Right.
You know,
Wow.
that's why I do my business. I do, like I said, printing, t-shirts, flyers, business cards, things like that. I do, and video recording, and like him too, DJ. But if people want to support, they want to give back and make it, or maybe it's this. But like today, just today alone, it costs $120. Today, Wednesday it cost 150. Last Sunday it cost 120. So multiply that times two, no, 3 times 4. How much it costs in 1 month? That's my pocket. And like I said, I cook everything right here in the house by myself every morning, 7 o'clock in the morning to 12. When I get up in the morning, I cook. And like I said, I don't have to. But when God puts something in your heart, no matter how much it costs it is, you gotta do what you gotta do, and He gonna take care of you.
Wow.
There's a real there's a real need when it comes to the financial support.
You know, so so if someone wants to support, if it's take one day, say Mike, I'll pay one day, how much it costs, take care of it. I don't know how you get if it's cash out, I'm there. If it's Zelle, whatever, but I'm sure they can reach you, and then you reach me. I don't know how that goes, but like I said, everything is welcome. You know, money or clothes or shoes is welcome. Now, my website is communitysouls.org.
Say
Community
again.
Soul. My website is communitysouls.org. Yeah, and then on there you can see the cash app and the Zelle if you want to support a week or two. So, you know, but there I have some pictures I've taken. I mean, I've had different African groups, different African community groups. They have cooked themselves and come out downtown. We did a whole charade for like 5 hours and feed all of them. You know, like I
Wow.
said, it's been going on now like going on 3 years. You know, but sometimes they won't do it until I'm there because they know me.
Whoa.
Right. They won't do it because they know me. So once they see me, they know I have food.
Wow.
You know, so they come and they eat. But I'm just glad to be able to give them something to believe in. To believe Mike will be here Wednesday, Mike will be here Sunday, so they can, you know, come out and have a good time and eat. And we dance and we pray before we eat, you know. And
Wow.
yeah, I mean,
That's
sometimes
powerful, brother.
it's
We see
powerful, man. Thank
your
God.
website there in the background. Awesome. Awesome. Man.
You know, give them healthy food, you know, that they can eat and enjoy, and just something to give them the energy to move to the next day, and help to develop their immune system, which is the most important thing. You know, to fight whatever they're actually going through. So with that, I can't stop. When am I going to stop? Maybe next 15, 20 years. I don't know.
Ah. Well, keep up the good work there, brother Mike.
Thanks, man. I try, man. I try.
And
That's
and and go
no,
ahead, brother Yoel.
I was gonna say that's highly commendable. Um, Leadership makes a difference. Showing your face, connecting with people, whether they're homeless or low income, and even with low income, it's a different need. Um, you'll find it interesting enough that there's almost a greater need for those that are low income. Um, Something such as school supplies, or shoes for school, or learning material, or just a lunch pail. You wouldn't. I mean, I've done homeless outreach for so many years, and just really this year I started moving towards the low income community, and I didn't know that the need would be as great, if not greater. There's two communities we've adopted. We commit to going to those communities, and So there's artists that we work with. There's people that do food donations, clothing donations. Uh, then we started implementing like a sports day camp, and then we're going to be implementing also some skills trades training. And so we're still developing that. But what that provides mentorship and education for those that are looking to get into the workforce or maybe even a change, you know. Um, but then making that connection, just providing food is one thing, but making the human connection and providing dignity to people, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing. Needs, as my brother shared, on the homeless community side, underwear, undergarments, panties, certainly, hygiene kits for women, shaving kits for men. There's a huge need for socks and work shoes or work boots. The rib slacks, the slacks like the doctors, um, there's a big need for that. Gloves, not just winter gloves, but work gloves. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Water, there's always, you cannot provide enough water. You cannot provide
Yeah.
enough water.
You can't run
Uh,
away.
a dear homeless brother shared something as we were doing one particular outreach. We had enough resources. And so I encourage the homeless, please come get more. Please take seconds to take a plate with you. And not a lot of people were responding to that after they ate initially. And he said one thing that might be hard to understand. One dear brother said, taking extra food with us makes what we carry heavy. So that's why we can't take a lot of stuff with us, because where are we going to store it? 6 months or 8 hours from now when it's time to eat again or whatever, out here in the sun, more than likely the food's going to spoil or go bad. And so those are different realities that you can't really understand. If it's raining outside and a particular bridge is washed out or it's an area that's unsafe, you now have someone that's walking around and soaking wet clothes, and the clothes might be wet for the next 4 or 5 hours until they dry. And again, those are just realities that we just may not really understand, but this is what a lot of us, a lot of our people actually need. This is what they experience. And so financial resources, something that can provide the exchange between getting products and getting resources speedily and quickly, is a big deal. My website, Yoel helps. Yoel helps. I'm still adding more content to it. But on that, there's a form you can fill out to volunteer. There's also a form to fill out to be a sponsor, whether you're sponsoring the use of green space or sponsoring the use of canopies and chairs for a big event, or whether you're going to sponsor the use of maybe equipment. We grow, we're looking to do a huge amount of things. We're actually looking to recruit additional barbers. We have one barber that's part of the team. So when we do outreach, he's part of the team. He cuts hair. I'm looking to, have a team of, 12 different barbers so that we can have rotation as we go out. We're looking to build a virtual mobile health clinic. So we're looking to get, we got one nurse that's attached. There's another nurse that's reached out, and probably about 6 or 8 more nurses to do on a continuum health checks. And so we're trying to have an established mobile platform to where when we go out in these communities, we're doing continuous health checks. We're providing, a mobile food bank, a mobile clothing bank. With partners that are in the music space, so they come up for their music talent. There's a lot of stuff that we get from Sam's Club. We purchase, like my dear brother said, it all comes out of pocket. And so any outreach that's done, you're looking at probably a weekly investment of, $200, $300, $100, and you add it up, and you're well into 1,200, depending on what kind of engagement you're having, 1,200, 1,500 per month. And the desire and the passion is there. And I'm thankful to have some people joining us with a very colorful mix of things they're looking to offer. But there's one thing we're attempting to satisfy, that's working for the homeless, and then the other, the low income, that's working with the youth. That's where the skills training comes in. That's where the day camps for sports comes in, because it's a whole different involvement. When you have young kids that don't have a father figure present, when you show up, you just can't, give them a high five and that's it. You want to make sure you challenge them in the area of sports or athletics, or being a mentor of some sort. And that's just one way. Um, so there's a lot of other spaces we're going to move into, but for now we've kind of settled on the day camps, the community outreach, adopting the whole community. Like one of the communities, Woodland Heights, that probably has maybe 400 units. And of that, there's probably well over, goodness, I don't know, probably 200, 300, probably kids, probably more than that. Another community, the Commons, that probably has 500 apartment units, and there's probably about 200 or 300 kids there. So when you go out, these young men and women now become people you've adopted, and they're looking for leadership and mentorship and training and some example of which they would see you consistently. And so in this space, the low income is something I'm still growing in, because it's totally different from the homeless. It has a different feel. You interact with youth than as opposed to adult men and women. And so your level of sensitivity in the area, because a lot of these children, they're in abusive homes.
Yeah.
A lot of these children, they've seen stuff that's very hostile.
And some children are homeless at school. There are many school age children that go to school, and once they leave school, they're on the streets.
Yeah.
So this is a major effort that both you gentlemen doing, and I know there's others out there that are lending their hands. It's going to take a whole community, and it's going to get harder because the economy is tightening up. There are going to be more people entering the homelessness environment. You might be on Facebook today. You might have a nice job. You might be with your family. You might be a big superstar or whatever, but it can all snap away and fade away at a moment's notice. Most of the people, when we look at and hear the stories, I'm pretty sure Mike and yourself have heard stories of people that it was unbelievable. People that were CEOs of companies, people that had their own business, people that are college educated, PhDs. There's a guy down at Harper Park, PhD, taught right there at I think Morris Brown. Got into some issues and became part of the populace out there. So there's many entry points to homelessness, and to do a blind eye and say, yeah, people out there just begging their own drugs, they need to get a job. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And once you develop compassion, and I know a lot of people in the chat, Brother Meach, you brought out compassion. So many have brought out compassion and consideration. That's why you have to put a human face. You guys have put a human face, because sometimes people just go out there and drop a box off and start dropping potatoes on a plate.
Yeah.
But when you start interacting with people, you know their names, you know their life stories. I know many times we've been out there where just to let somebody use the telephone to make a phone call to their mother or their father. These are people on the street that through some effort of yours or someone else's out there, it moved and motivated them to get in touch, because everybody that's out there has a family. Okay? Now, those families might have forgot about them or don't even know they exist out there. Some people out there, their families don't even know they're homeless.
Yeah, that's right.
They just saying, man, I just want to call them and tell them I'm doing okay, but I'm still on these streets. Remembering Atlanta street warrior Marshall Rainsifer, who last week past. Marshall, uh, uh, that was an Atlanta street warrior, another brother out there doing some great work in the streets in Atlanta passed last week. Uh, and believe it or not, uh, and in different areas of Atlanta, they have a hierarchy. Some people just think you're just running around, but there's different hierarchies. You got a mayor, you got people that control efforts that speak for the group, and then you got people that don't belong to any group. They just out there on their own. But uh, the efforts you brothers are putting in, man, the individual FaceTime that you interact with our brothers and sisters on a regular, consistent basis gives them hope, that gives them opportunity, whether it be food, shelter, jobs, or just somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
But in closing, give your contact information and let them know the next time you're gonna be out there sharing some food with some members of our population that any of us could join or be a part of any day.
My my phone number is 770-256-2241. My website is yoelhelps.org. That's YOELHELPS.org. And what I tend to post on there are these community impact event days. And so we just did one today. So you'll see some other engagements scheduled. They'll probably be posted online. That's going to reflect what's going to happen in October, November, December. But those are scheduled, and then we have that's for the community impact. But then for the homeless, I typically go out every single Saturday. So we have every Saturday and then Sunday engagements with the communities, the low-income apartment communities. Yeah, that's probably the best way to grab a hold of me, from the website or the phone number, and then registering for one of the events that we're gonna be having.
Yes, and we welcome that tip jar. You can drop some tip jar. I'm pretty sure the brothers, brother Yoel and brother Michael, welcome that. Now, what's your call to action, brother Mike? Your next time out there, your contact information.
My next time out there is my next time downtown is Wednesday. I go every Sunday, Wednesday, and then, like I said, on Friday I go to a shelter in Stone Mountain and give them food on Friday. But again, I'll be downtown Edgewood and Peachtree by the waterfall around 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. And sometimes, if I'm late, they call me, brother, are you coming? They call me. And what is that when I get down there, I don't touch nothing from my car. They take everything out from me. They set it up. They're in line. They are very respectful because they know I'm coming. When I show up, they all come out from works and they take everything from the car, the drinks, the chips, the food, and they set it up. And they themselves help serve their friends if it's just me.
That's awesome.
I mean, like one of them is in charge of the bread. Publix. Oh, for Publix, I get cakes and sweets and bread every Monday and Tuesday. I get the whole suite, the whole bag, sweets, cupcakes, birthday cakes, everything from them. So a person is in charge of the bread, and a person in charge of the drinks, and I'm in charge of the food. But like I said, I'm going again Wednesday and Friday. And my contact information is 678-760-6502. 678-760-6502. And that's also my Cash App number as well. And my little picture name is Mike Edwards. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. I got to send a shout out to my little sister, Evangelist Lucy Taylor. I know you've done some tremendous work. She's jumping over here like popcorn. She said, Mike, 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 Mike. Mike, you've been a blessing to her and her ministry. They out in Stone Mountain. Uh, there's so much work to be done. There's so many people doing it. And we definitely commend you gentlemen and all the ladies and some of the guys in the chat. I encourage everyone to like, share, uh, and subscribe over here to Square Mile Media Atlanta. Also, ring that buzzer, that bell, so you can get the notifications of upcoming shows and go back and look at the archive shows. We have over 100 plus shows dealing with a wide range of topics. And when we look at staying ready, being ready for different situations. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to prepare ourselves, and we never know that day or that hour that might come that we too might be out there in those streets. Okay, and
Yeah.
it's good to know that you got to face somebody like Brother Yoel, somebody like Brother Mike, somebody like Sister Lucy with Warriors on the Battlefield, somebody that you can go to and say, you know what, I just need to pull up for a minute and just sit down for a day or two. You might be coming out of an abusive relationship. There are women out there that are put into homeless situations, coming out of millionaire families that have been put in homeless situations because the husband was an abuser, and that woman has nowhere to stay. All her money, credit cards been stopped. She's out there, and that could put her into a life of compromised efforts, prostitution, or whatever. So when they see a familiar face, somebody they can count on, somebody they can trust, that's the good thing that you all are doing. So for everybody else out there, we got a lot of work to do, and this thing got harder. It was hard when it started, and it's going to be harder before it gets through
Right.
because with the economy like it is, the winter is coming, uh, and Atlanta is not a friendly city, especially when they got big events coming up. And if you
Right.
look at Atlanta,
Yeah.
the area for the homeless is getting smaller, smaller, and smaller. They definitely moved their cheese. So they're going to be coming to a neighborhood near you, okay? And you're going to have to figure out ways to help your brothers and sisters. So you can team up with the brothers and sisters, especially the two brothers that are here tonight, Brother Yoel, Brother Mike. All the efforts are genuine. These brothers come from their heart. I mean, they giving their last. Uh, I've known Brother Yoel for years, Brother Mike for a couple of years. And I know the efforts that you're doing out there, not just in Atlanta, but over there in Stone Mountain and other places. But guys, give yourselves a pat on the back, a thumbs up, a bump fix, and a rub on the forehead. I know you don't get a lot of trophies. You don't get a lot of awards, but you don't do it for that. You do it for the people. You do it for
Indeed.
the love, and it's a calling that the Most High has given both of you gentlemen. And with that being said, we love you like God loves the world. And you know what we say over here? The secret is just knowing where the rocks are. So let's find these rocks. These rocks are the solutions. These solutions are up in our heads. So the solution to every problem out there can be solved by people like you and I. So let's make it a great day. And guess what? Stay ready at all times, and then you don't have to get ready. Have a great day.
Amen.
Shalom. Peace and blessings, everyone.
Good Lord.
Shalom.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having us.